going to be that what probably a lot of you are here for, which is the zoning issue with regard to 1 Washington Street development, the applicant has asked to have that application tabled. So we will not be hearing that tonight. So I know that's what a lot of you are here for, so I wanted to make sure that that's it. And that is the application regarding the zone change. So there will be no public comment tonight until we hear this application, and it was done at the behest of the applicant, which we will read into the record as well.
John Lapper, Esquire, represents 1 Washington Street Development LLC. He sent me an email on August 30th at 1:44 in the afternoon. On behalf of the applicant, 1 Washington Street Development LLC, I hereby request that the planning board appearance for the rezoning recommendation, which is scheduled for September 3rd, be tabled until the next meeting.
So we will hear that next month. Okay. The second announcement, as we wait for our commissioner, is that we have 4 commissioners here tonight, so everything has to be decided, has to be unanimous. If any applicants are concerned about that and would like to table their application to next month, we certainly can do that, and you can let us know now so you don't have to sit here. And when your time comes up on the agenda, we can make a motion to table it until next month. So if anybody would like to do that, please let us know now. Now we do have to wait for our last commissioner who got held up and should be here shortly, so she'll just be a few more minutes.
Can I ask a question regarding the issue that was tabled? Is it set to the agenda for next month, definitely? And was there any reason given, or did it not?
You know, you heard the email we got.
We couldn't really hear anything.
Okay.
I don't think I was read it again. I'm sorry.
We'll read it again.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt her.
And yes, it will be on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
That's as far as I can go.
The applicant is represented by John Lapper, Esquire. On Friday, August 30th at 1:45 p.m., he sent me an email stating, on behalf of the applicant, 1 Washington Street Development, LLC, I hereby request that the planning board appearance for the rezoning recommendation, which is scheduled for September 3rd, be tabled until the next meeting. So the advisory opinion will be tabled until our October meeting. And that's the rezoning only, not the actual site plan or anything else having to do with the property.
When will that be?
The first Tuesday in October, which I believe is October 1st.
For the rezoning, if they get the rezoning, then it will be up to the applicant to submit a final site plan application and any other zoning variances if needed. So I don't know when that would be.
What is the zoning board meeting?
The third Monday of the month at 6:30.
And are they on for that for this month? For zoning?
No, until they get the rezoning, the site plan or any action by the ZBA cannot be taken.
Okay.
Yes.
Since that's been tabled for at least a month, what about the eviction of the tenant? Can that be tabled also?
No, that has nothing to do with the planning board. That is a private action between the landlord and the tenant.
And who is the current owner of that building, 391?
I just read it. 1 Washington Street Development LLC.
Yes.
I respect your jobs. You have a hard job. I've been in your position before. My name's Dennis Brower.
You turn the microphone on. We cannot hear anything.
You're here.
My name's Dennis Brower, and I would suggest that you have this type of meeting next month, at least at 6:30 or 7:30, whatever. It cannot be at 4:45. It's not good for people that are working. I don't know who scheduled it.
It's
I
the
don't know
same
why.
time, same time for years.
That's been for years.
I'm sorry?
It's been scheduled at 4:45 for at least 20 years.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it's a mistake. It should be when people can attend.
Okay.
So, in any case, thank you for your consideration. Hope you have a good night.
It's on. It's fine. Yeah, I can do that, but it is on though.
Well, our name's Shane, we're referring to. You're pretty controversial. Where's mine?
No. Once I flip it back on.
Well, we had this one in.
However you want it. Once I turn it on, it's going to get crazy. So however you want it.
the Glens Falls Planning Board September 3rd, 2024 meeting. And the first thing that I would like to do is to recognize and thank Ethan Hall for his 25 years of volunteer service to the city of Glens Falls and specifically this planning board. We thank him for his leadership and his in-depth technical and institutional knowledge he brought to the board. He will be missed. Now we'd like to start. We have to approve the minutes of our August 6, 2024 meeting. Would anybody have anything they'd like to contribute?
No questions or comments.
Okay. Anything, Mr. Bowden?
No.
Mr. Ryan?
No, all set.
Okay. And I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the planning board meeting of August 6, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
We have two things of old business, and both have been requests to be tabled at the applicant's request. They are the architectural and site plan review for Margaret Gerard, owner of tax map numbers 310.5-4-4 and 310.5-4-2, commonly known as 109 and 115 to 117 Warren Street. I make a motion that we table this until the October 1st, 2024 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Motion passes. And then we move on to new business. The first is site plan review, SP 24-0005, Union Square revitalization, Ryan Connor, EGRM Properties. Is anyone here from the applicant? Please come forward.
Hi, Ryan Connor.
Okay, wonderful. Is there anything that you'd like to tell us about your application?
Sure. So I submitted an application for 9 through 15 Broad Street, also known as Union Square. We're under contract to purchase the building right now. The proposal would be to put a total of 18 apartments on the top 2 floors, which are primarily vacant, on the Pine Street end of the building. It's a 4-story building, including the basement. This would be the top 2 floors only.
What's going to be on the bottom 2 floors?
We would maintain it as is. It's currently commercial spaces. And then also we would maintain all the commercial spaces on the Broad Street end of the building. There's businesses already in place there.
We have our architectural consultant. We'll go to first.
Since this is site plan review, I don't really have a lot of architectural comments. We do meet the number of required parking spaces for the proposed number of units that you have there. Excuse me, with enough parking, it seems, for the businesses that are in that building. And if you, I'm not sure, are you planning to do anything to the outside of the building and you would come back for architectural review?
No, just
Okay.
it'll maintain its current appearance. We'll maintain it and clean it, but
Right.
that's about it.
So as far as the layout of everything, you're going to
No change to layout, no.
You're going to meet all of the light and air and, you know, I know, and the only reason why I bring this up, it looks like 2 of the apartments only have one tiny little window. But I think as long as you meet code,
Yeah, we would meet
Yeah.
code on any of them.
I think that having apartments at that location would be great. It's been empty for so many years.
Thank you.
Is this your, so remember a few years ago, Tom O'Neill was going to do
Yeah.
that? Did he not?
He did not do it.
Okay, so that was my only question, because I know that.
Yeah, he got it approved. It was like 2018.
Yeah, it was quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. No, I have no questions or comments. I think, it was approved last time, and so I look forward to seeing that building used.
Thank you.
No, Tom has upgraded that building over the years. You have the parking spaces. Are the windows going to change up there? Are those going to be updated?
We would look to
Keep
first,
the same period?
well, yeah, definitely. We definitely first look to rehabilitate, and then If that's not possible, we would look to maintain the size and appearance of them.
And then the stores between the floors, you're gonna have fire stops anyway, so fire code.
Yeah, we work to code.
Yeah, really no issues. Just one quick question. I see you got a freight elevator, and is there also a passenger elevator?
Yeah, there's a passenger elevator on the, towards the Broad Street end of the building.
Right.
I call it, it's in like an intermediate building space.
Right.
That's where the passenger elevator is. It's already there.
Okay. And also, I would think in regards to the windows, I know there's a lot of incentives and rebates available now when you put in energy efficient windows, so it might be something that we're.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, I mean, anything that either insulation or electric in New York State right now, it's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
I agree, I think it looks like a nice project, I like that building.
Yeah.
Really a nice space for.
Very good.
Would anybody from the public like to make a comment about this application? Would anyone from the public like to make a comment on this application? Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Frida Toth, T-O-T-H. My question is, how big will the apartments be? How many bedrooms?
There will be 2 bedrooms and then 16 one-bedrooms, ranging anywhere from 600 to 800 square feet. The larger being the 2-bedroom.
Come on up.
No, I don't need to come up. I just need you to get closer to your microphone so that you can hear the same.
I'll try.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else comment about this application? Okay. Then I think I would make a
With
motion.
respect to seeker, I would classify this as a type 2 action, as it's reconstruction in kind with no substantial changes to the exterior, therefore no further action is required.
Okay. Then I would like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review, hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Union Square Revitalization, Ryan Connor, EBRM Properties, LLC, owner of tax map number 309.28-1-3.1, commonly known as 9 to 15 Broad Street, at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024. Any second?
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next up on the agenda is subdivision SD 24-0006, Douglas and Denise Thorne, and Jonathan and Marissa DeLapper. Is there anyone here for this application? Hi there.
Hi there. I'm Doug Thorne. Several years ago, I bought some wetland property behind my residence on Windy Hill Road. Happened to become good friends with my neighbor, John DeLappa, sitting back there. He was interested in a piece of it. Both of us are similar idea of preserving the property the way it is. So there's really not a lot to say other than it's just we've agreed to, provided we get permission and whatnot, just to have him purchase some of that property from me as outlined in the application. So,
Okay, thank you. Does anybody from the public wish to speak about this application? Okay. Start with Nina, do you have anything
No, I have no concerns.
to? Okay. Mr. Landry, do you want to start?
I guess the only thing that we could clarify, there's property on Sanford Street and Ridge Streets.
yeah, that's just the address. I mean, the
Okay.
property is just, it's inaccessible. It's property in the woods behind me. The address confounded me as well, but that just it seems to be the address on the
Are you
property.
on the side towards like Jackson High School?
John is on the Jackson Heights side. I'm on the Windy Hill side. So the property meets in the back.
Okay. All right, so it's not towards Windy Ridge, it's more towards...
Yeah, it's directly between Windy Hill and the school, just
Okay.
north of the school, I guess.
Do you want to point on here?
Sure. Sure.
So the gist of this is you guys are neighbors, you're moving the property line, so you guys are kind of splitting this open land just to keep it,
Just the way it is.
Just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
and there's no other accesses to it, it's not gonna be subdivided.
No, there is no other access other than,
Right, but
you
there
know,
is now.
yeah. I'm sorry.
No, that's all set. The address kind of threw me off.
Believe me, threw me off as well.
Okay?
Questions or comments?
I have no questions or concerns either. I think it's a good idea. I'll go ahead and make a motion.
No seeker.
Oh, no seeker.
There is no seeker.
Thank you. There's no seeker for that. So I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Subdivision Review, hereby grant a subdivision approval for the project identified as Douglas and Denise Thorne and Jonathan Marissa DeLapa, owners of tax map number 303.9-7-11 and 12, commonly known as 196 to 204 R. Sanford and 319-321 R. Ridge Streets. Approval at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is the architectural review. Angela Gimatino, thank you, I'm sorry, representing Glens Falls Hospital.
I'm Daniel Gallagher, Optimus Architecture.
Thank you.
Okay, so you've all seen the submission. What we tried to do here was keep the addition in context with the hospital. You notice at the hospital there's a lot of limestone banding at the top of all the buildings. This is a one-story addition off of the existing emergency department. It's 8,000 square feet. And what we're proposing is a metal panel, it's a Lucabond metal panel system along the top edge. It's going to be an off-white color to match the existing limestone bands of the hospital. We have brick to match the existing hospital below that. Some precast sills underneath the windows and a band around the building. We have exterior decorative sconces on the front four piers of the ambulance canopy. And then on the side, we're proposing this red metal panel, a Lucabond system, just to give some character to the addition. And that's where the signage will be. There's also a new drive-under canopy here. That's a prefabricated polycarbonate drive-under canopy for a drop-off and pickup. And that's the existing main entrance of the hospital, the ED. We also have, what we're doing is adding a stair onto the existing ramp and extending it so that there's better access to that main entrance, so you don't have to walk up the hill to get into the hospital. We also have a roof screen on top of the one-story addition to hide the new rooftop units.
To hide what?
The new rooftop units, the HVAC equipment. Yep. You'll see a lot of glazing on the addition. It's not all vision glass, being an ED, but we wanted it to have, look like glass. So it's spandrel glass, you can't see through it. But there are, all these horizontal windows are the vision windows to let natural light into the emergency department. And these are the color exterior elevations, which we did have for the submission. And then this is the exterior rendering, which you had a version of, but it didn't include the roof screen or the red accent.
Could you show that to all the people that they can't see?
Sure.
Looks great.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
No.
Okay. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this application?
It's not clear what's going on.
What's that?
It's not clear what's going on.
It's not
Doing architectural review for the Glens Falls Hospital.
They're redoing the emergency side of the building, the parking area and everything, and we're doing the architectural review on that addition, the renovation.
We'll go to our architectural consultant.
You actually answered a couple of my questions because this was the rendering that we had.
Correct.
So
Yes.
I like the updates.
Great.
And then what is the red panel that's added? That's just,
So you're seeing that from the side. It just
Okay.
wraps around the corner.
and it's just sort of a standalone accent to the,
Yeah,
there's a.
to the facade.
Is there
Yeah.
a sign, a light fixture on it or a logo?
It's a sign. It's the Albany Med
Okay.
Health System, Glens Falls Hospital.
Got it, okay.
logo. Yep.
And I think the pedestrian canopy, the metal canopy I think that looks great. I think
Thank you.
it's really slick. And then I had a question regarding the metal panels. It didn't look originally like they matched that which you'd written in your description. It looked like anodized, but you said they're going to be like an
An
off-white color.
off-white. Yes, we changed that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you consider using limestone up there or precast?
Well, no. The problem with that is just it gets dirty
Yeah.
and it's hard to keep clean, and this will be easier to keep clean.
Okay. Are the letters that will be mounted on the fascia going to be lighted?
I don't think that they're going to be backlit.
Okay.
No, but they might have some sort of light on them eventually. No uplight though.
Okay.
Yes.
So
We
do
didn't
they
really-
need to submit for sign application?
PJ?
And any signs, you would have to make an application for a sign permit.
Sure.
And
If
if it's
it's
not.
over the allowable.
And if it's, right, if it's non-conforming, it would come back here.
For some-
Right. Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, okay.
Yep.
I had a question about where the proposed roof equipment screens were going, and I see that you've added them.
Yes.
How tall are those?
Those are about 7-8 feet.
Right.
Yeah,
So
they're
they're
tall.
gonna hide
roof
everything.
Yes. Yeah, and then we take into account the angle.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, but they're not gonna conflict with the windows on the floor?
No.
Are they gonna conflict with any existing windows?
No, so the 4-story building beyond is pretty far back,
Right.
so they won't conflict with any windows. Yeah.
My only thought was the bases of the piers,
Mhm.
and I was sort of looking at this. I don't know, I have a very tiny little thumbnail picture here, but if you go around the corner to the Prime Pavilion and you see this sort of around the building, there are a lot of plinths, kind of precast
Yes.
bases at a lot of
The
the.
tower, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it occurred to me that that might be something that could tie into Prime Pavilion, the tower, and some of the others, because, and as you walk around the building, there is also that limestone band base.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we could, at the base of these columns, we could carry the precast all the way down. We have the 3 columns up.
I wouldn't suggest it all along there, but I think it
Yeah,
might be a
just
nice,
some.
and, it'll be maybe a little more durable when things bang into them.
And you're true, and the brick with the salt and
Yeah.
everything, yeah.
Otherwise, I think it looks great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No questions or comments, I think it looks good.
Thank you.
Mr. Landry?
No, I think he answered all the questions I had, and like I say, I think it looks great.
So I like it. You know, it's going to be an upgrade to that area. Whatever you guys want.
Thanks.
I agree. I never really noticed the banding before, but I think that's going to be really nice. That it really it makes it stand out more. I think it's
Yes.
very nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Nina, are you asking that it be changed, that if we approve architectural review, that the bases, the columns, be precast bases to the ground?
I think that would tie in with the rest of the building, and
Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah, we can do that. I think it's a good idea.
So if you make a motion, if there's a motion, okay. And there's no secret, no respect to the architectural review, you already had your site plan last time.
Correct. Correct. Yes.
Okay, then I would make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Architectural Review, hereby grant architectural approval for the project identified as Glens Falls Hospital, owner of tax map number 309.36-2-10, commonly known as 100 Park Street, with the following condition, that the bases are precast. Is that what it is?
of just the columns.
It's just the columns are precast.
All three? Three columns, precast?
Yes.
One, two, three, that match the precast band
That
that,
match the precast band in the tower.
or that he's showing for the rest.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
As discussed at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is sign review. Chris Frydenhouse presenting for First Presbyterian Church of Glens Falls. Hi there.
Hello. My name is Chris Frydenhouse. I'm the representing First Presbyterian Church of Glens Falls. We're looking for a sign permit to add a sign to the front of the church, not to the front of the church, to the church property. And this would be offset to the side of the church as you're looking straight onto it, more to the south in front of the playground area. We're looking to put in a digital sign, which we would be able to scroll messages on, because we have quite a few events that go on. Right now, we have 2 metal poles there that will hang a banner on when we have a special event. And we can only put one message there, and it has to be, we have to make the banners up, put those out there and change those. Obviously, we've seen a lot of these digital signs around now in a lot of areas now where we can change the message on a regular basis. We can put down our regular church hours and our service times and all of our special events also, put those on there. We propose to put the sign at a 90-degree angle to the road, so it's double-sided, so nothing is coming out towards the road. There wouldn't be any light, cast onto the road. And we do have the sign would have a dimmer on it too, a photo dimmer on it, so as it gets cloudy or, as the sun goes down, the sign gets, dims. And we also propose to only to shut off the sign from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in consideration of any of the neighbors around or anything like that that could possibly, wait on the road or something like that who wouldn't even want to see that during regular sleeping hours. So we'd be running it, looking to around 16 hours versus 24 hours, like that. The actual digital portion of the sign would be roughly 2.5 feet by 6 feet. So the overall dimensions of the sign are much larger. We're going to propose a stone base. The stone would be used, would be granite that would match the stone that was used in the construction of the church with limestone caps, which is in keeping with the architecture of the church right there. It would be offset 10 feet off of the sidewalk, back a ways, and We did meet with our sign representatives. They did feel with the traffic going by, that's a kind of ideal way to do it. And the scrolling messages would change. We can change that, but they recommend an 8-second interval. That's been found with DOT to be the least, let's say, distractive to drivers who are going by and doing things like that.
So you would remove the other sign that's there?
Yeah, our plans are, there is, we remove the 2 poles that are there right now. Yeah, there's another sign, there's like a black sign, it's an old, it's got glass on the front. You have to manually go in and change all the letters on it. And then we do have a standalone sign on the corner of Notre Dame and Glen. And that's just a big, it's got stone pillars on each side, just has the name of the church on it. Doesn't move or do anything like that.
So you're planning to leave that one there?
Yes.
You would like to leave that one
We'd
there?
like to leave that one there, yes.
Did you have an opportunity to look closely at the zoning code regarding signs for commercial spaces and businesses and places of worship? The Glens Falls zoning code?
Yeah, I mean, I went through, we looked through the sign regulations here, through the Glens Falls sign regs. Yeah, I mean, they do talk about, that the sign review board may grant an exception for signs changing or rotating, show time, temperature, changing messages, which would be our thing right there, or moving images, subject to its approval.
Right. And you said that there was a DOT recommendation for how you would...
How often the message would change on the sign, yes.
And I guess I can't really speak to what DOT's opinion would be on that. I'm not familiar with that. So a couple of questions. One of them has to do with the size of the sign. You guys are in the cultural professional district.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, let me start out by saying I think it's a really lovely sign. It's nice. And I think with the stone matching the building, it's just, very classic looking.
Yeah, we wanted to have it blend in as well as we could, with the property that we have there. Yes.
I have a question about the size, because there is a paragraph saying that within your zone, zoning 180-8-B signs for places of worship shall not exceed 12 square feet in area. And it looks as if
We're at 15 square feet.
72 by 29 inches, did I do my math wrong?
I think I came out with, oh, wait a second. I probably did that wrong.
15.
I didn't.
Did I do my math wrong?
Like 14.8.
That's right, it does fit with it, yeah. I did my math wrong too.
So 14.8, right?
Yeah, just under,
Okay.
just under 15, yeah.
So, is that something that would
Yes,
be
you're
needed?
acting as the board of sign review, and that's why the application is here. Because if it had met the requirements, you would have gotten your sign permit from buildings and codes, you would have never seen the application.
Okay.
So you're acting as the board of sign review, you should grant relief and say 14.8 is acceptable.
Right. And now that I have my math correct, 14.8 seems not much of an ask for relief over 12 square feet. There's also something that says that signs may be illuminated only by external lighting and only during the hours of operation of related use. And the hours that you said you were going to use it make sense to me.
Yeah.
Your description says they would be illuminated letters, but on a dimmer, so.
Yeah, and only between those hours that we specified, yes.
Right, so.
Are you saying the sign's going to be turned off at 10 p.m. or it's just going to be dim?
It'll be a black screen.
Oh.
Yeah, we can't, they don't want you, there's electronics that are running in there, and it's if you shut the whole thing down, it has to be rebooted again in the morning. So it'll be internally on, but the screen would be blank. And there's also I guess you can call it a masthead there. It has I call it a masthead. It's like the name of the church there. It's in blue with the white letters.
Yeah.
And that would be gently illuminated from behind. And I would have to check with the sign manufacturer. I didn't, if that would also go off at 10 o'clock, or if that would be on 24 hours, but that would be, you know,
Topic, right, so you're
right
saying.
at the right time. It'd be
First Presbyterian
Yeah.
would be
backlit.
backlit.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Or that could be, if you have a problem with that, we could just not like that at all.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you have the ability to sort of dim
Yes.
it. Yeah, I mean, I don't personally see an issue with the lighting of backlit letters versus lights on the lawn shining up
Right.
to it. And I appreciate the fact that you would turn it off when the church is closed after 10 p.m. So I have no
People
idea.
from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. to do that message.
There is that argument. Yes.
Depends what the message is.
Yes. They may be the people that need it the most.
I have no other comments. I think it's nice looking, and it's very close to what the sign regs call for in terms of size.
Mr. Landry?
Just one quick question. The digital part of the sign, which is 72 by 29, is just under 15 feet.
Yes.
Okay, and then the blue part of the sign that says First Presbyterian Church at Glens Falls, that's going to be lit as well?
That was in the original plan, yes.
Okay, all right.
I don't know how you'd have to figure out, the blue isn't lit, just the white. It's backlit. So I don't know how you
It's just
figure
the
out,
letters.
you have to figure out there'd be a lot of math involved to figure out.
Well, I
what
mean,
that is.
the math is, my only thing is, and again, I think it's a good looking sign, I think it's a beautiful sign. But if you take the entire blue area, if that's going to be part of the illumination, now you're up around 33 square feet.
Yeah, but the blue area will not be lit.
It won't be lit.
No.
Well,
It is
what-
part of the sign.
Okay.
If you consider part of this, yeah. It'd be
Okay,
if you-
all right.
So the amount of relief is greater than the
Yeah.
If you get on it.
Yeah,
You're approving the whole sign as depicted on those drawings.
right, okay.
It's very similar to the church on Sherman Avenue. They've got
Right.
the sign now, it's got the reader board.
Mhm. Yeah, and just to specify, we hear a lot, I mean, when we've been going through this, people like, well, that sign is so bright at night down there, they don't have a dimmer on theirs.
Oh, the
So-
Civic Center?
No, the one, the church on Sherman, and you can see the thing down the road way before you get to it. It's a little obnoxious at night, but this one, we designed so it won't be obnoxious at night, or any time of the day.
Okay.
And you're going to be 10 feet off the sidewalk.
Yes, that's the right, that was we actually went for a variance that was denied, and so we are at 10 feet, which is the specified distance. Yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Landry?
No, all set.
You know, it's great. We've covered pretty much everything. I don't have an issue with it.
No, so secret, okay. I agree, I think it's nice, I think the amount of relief needed past what our sign code normally is acceptable. Everybody in agreement?
It's going to be 19 feet off the curb, so it's going to be set
Yeah,
back quite a bit.
yeah.
Yeah. Because it's a double wide sidewalk there, so the sidewalk's about 8 feet off the road.
Yeah.
No, I think it's very interesting. So we'll give the motion to the neighbor. Okay. Then I will make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Sign Review, hereby grant sign approval for the project identified as First Presbyterian Church of Glens Falls, owners of tax map number 302.20-15-3, commonly known as 396 to 410 Glen Street, as approved at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is sign review, C&M Weber Holdings LLC, owners of 55 Glen Street for sign board review. 56. Hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you? Your name, please?
My name is Christian Weber. I'm also the owner of Common Roots Brewing Company. So I think you guys are aware of the building that my wife and I rehabbed. It was one of the oldest buildings in Glens Falls, if not the oldest building. The upstairs is a apartment. It's already rented out. The downstairs, our new coffee company is moving our production from South Glens Falls to Glens Falls, which is excellent. We're happy to be in Warren County. We're very excited.
What is going in there, I'm sorry?
Our coffee roasting production.
Okay.
So that's particular to this because it's just production. It's not open to the public, and we did identify that would be an issue moving forwards as soon as we slap a sign that says Common Roots on it. We're very excited about our community popularity and our ethos to giving back and whatnot, but there is a concern that people would try to come in there and view it as a public-facing operation. And the reason why this sign is there is to help mitigate that without having to put an intrusive gate up, which is our other option. And we're very proud of that building. My wife and I took it independently to rehab it, and it's something I pass every day. We live right next to the park, and it's something that we're very proud of. However, it is something that we want to leave as is and try to, continue to curate that property the way it should be. So the thought was this would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is more of a Wayfair sign.
Now I understand. I wasn't sure.
Yes. So the thought was this would be a less intrusive way of negating people from viewing it as a public-facing business, because we were already approved for a Common Roots Coffee Company roastery sign that will be hanging on the building after hopefully this is approved, and it was maybe more of a proactive way of telling people like this is other spots you can go to, opposed to coming in. And to protect our renters, protect the sidewalk, protect everything about that particular building. So we were kind of fighting the urge of putting a gate up, which is just something that we don't really, it didn't seem part of the ethos of Glens Falls, to tell you the truth, having a gate right on what is really a gateway to the city. So we thought this was a more passive and kind of better way of inviting people to show the neighborhood more and kind of moving around that. So it goes with the aesthetic, I feel like, of the building, also the aesthetic of the neighborhood, and our hope is it would also be a more passive way, again, mitigating that public side, which we've encountered that it is a very public space. So, but I'm open for all the questions that you might have.
Okay. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on this application?
I'm not sure what it was for. I couldn't hear nothing.
It's-
So I'll have to.
It's a sign review.
It's a sign review for we purchased the building across the street from the Civic Center. So it is the oldest building in Glens Falls, and my wife and I bought it independently. The upstairs is rented now as a 2-bedroom by 2 engineers that actually work at Great Escape, which is wonderful. The downstairs and also the co-owner of Common Roots Brewing Company. And we're moving our coffee roasting operation to the first floor. The issue is that it's not public facing, and it's just going to be production there, which is great for us. However, there is an issue once we put Common Roots on the building. We were kind of afraid that it might attract people to think that that's a spot to get coffee. So this sign hopefully passively shows that it's a more inviting way of going elsewhere for coffee and beer and food and whatnot, and less of putting a gate up, which is the other option. And we just didn't want to put a gate up. We thought that was maybe a bad example of coming into Glens Falls and seeing a gate immediately at a building. So.
I heard you were saying that you wanted to preserve things, live in Glens Falls and all of that, and I want you to, good things that you're doing, so.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
awesome.
it.
Very awesome.
We're very proud of it. Thank you very much.
Are these the colors? This is a good,
they're 6x6 from Meads Lumber with aluminum. I mean, we were open to that, but they were what we've used elsewhere at our 3 locations. But and they're solar lights that face down, so there will be no light pollution. It would hopefully just kind of be there if you're looking, and also blend in if you're not looking. And that was the idea.
You said you got approval for the Common Roots Coffee Brewing.
On the building, it fit the
Where did it-
it fit the parameters of what a sign that the building allotted.
So is it going to be on the windows or? can
Nope,
you
it's right under that.
it's on
So the other application was approved. JB, forget, maybe I'm wrong, but it goes right there. It's just an old sign that says Commerce Coffee Company, Grocery, right there.
Yeah.
And that would be the one that, again, possibly.
Right, so on the one hand, you want to show the name of your business, on the other hand, you don't want to cause pile-ups
Yeah.
as
It's
people
a-
drive down the hill and try and cut into this driveway thinking they're going to get coffee.
Exactly. So there is a bit of a conundrum there, but we also just felt like that was a better way of than putting a gate, which would be the other option, which I don't know, I'm just, my father and I are.
Well, I
not
think,
against it.
I think a gate also could present issues with cars stacking potentially.
The gate we would put it back, and there's enough space. It just isn't something we're interested in. We could do it certainly within our rights and whatnot. That kind of sends a message that what we're not looking for as residents of Glens Falls and whatnot. I think that's. We thought this was a more passive way of doing it.
So this is a variance.
Yeah, right, again,
Application
this is one
essentially
sign
for 2
review.
signs, to have
It is-
2 business signs
Yes.
essentially. And one of which is a sign that doesn't refer specifically to your business. I mean,
They're my business.
I'm sorry, to the business on the property, I should say. I mean, I kind of like there's sort of an Adirondack feel of, you see, the name of something and then the number of miles away.
There was an aesthetic that we were trying to go for. I thought added to the vision of the city. I thought.
There's something in the sign code this jumped out at me when I thought that the public was going to be using that driveway, the distance that it needed to be away from property line and driveway, but now I understand what the point is of the sign. If anything, I would make the numbers showing the miles bigger.
Oh, we would do that. We were just, trying to be, again, more casual about it.
I
But
didn't
yes.
actually even recognize right away.
I think they're 5 inches each on that. I can look back, my creative director did, but I believe these, yes, I think it's,
Make them as big as the font for the name of if you can, for the name of the.
oh, we'll happily make it bigger.
Because then it's clearer.
Yes.
Yeah, the miles.
Because my eyes stopped at tap room.
Okay. Well, we will happily make it bigger. That wasn't it was more of just blending in, trying not to be intrusive, but we would happily, from a business standpoint, make it bigger. Is there a recommended size that you would go with?
Well, I think it just might be easier to read people driving by.
Yes,
if the
we
12
can match
miles were
maybe
closer to
the size of the font.
Size font,
Yep.
maybe you can't fit the whole word miles in there.
Yep,
maybe
we can do that.
Whatever.
It's not made yet. We can do it.
It'll be made more clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Now I understand what it's about. I think it's kind of cool.
Thank you.
Before we go on to the commissioners, I'd like to read a letter we got in today, so I can read it into record. It was received today, September 3rd, 2024, from A.J. Davidson of South Street. And it says, Dear Glens Falls Planning Board, I am writing to you in strong opposition to the Common Root sign under consideration by the Planning Board, BP 24-0169. I doubt that I'll be able to attend the meeting on Tuesday, so I want to inform you of my opposition to the approval of this sign. My impression of the city as a resident is that the city and county governments are in bad financial shape. The city has recently eliminated services by transferring public transit operations to CPTA. The amount of money the city needs to maintain existing services is increasing, and the city could use millions of dollars of infrastructure improvements. The county government is in a similar situation. The county is in such financial distress that the Board of Supervisors is considering raising the sales taxes, even in the face of broad opposition from the community. In other words, both the city and county governments desperately need money. Why then would the planning board allow the construction of a sign specifically designed to divert revenue from Glens Falls to South Glens Falls and Albany? This sign's purpose is to stop people from spending money in downtown Glens Falls. This is a direct contradiction of the stated developing goals of the city and county governments, and it directly opposes the public interests of the residents of Glens Falls. The building at 56 Glen is a local landmark and historic site. It would be a reasonable addition to the self-guided historical walking tour. Some visitors to the Civic Center pass by the property on their way to and from the arena. The property serves as a gateway to the bridge to South Glens Falls, offering tourists a last view of downtown before leaving the city. The planning board should demand the owners maintain the historic character of the property and disapprove the sign. If the sign is constructed and either the city or county needs to increase taxes as a result of economic pressure, then the sign will forever exist as a monument to the planning board's short-sightedness. The owners of County Roots have invested in South Glens Falls. If they really want a sign directing people to their facilities, they should ask South Glens Falls whether they can build one on the other side of the bridge. I encourage you to consider the negative effects of the sign. Please assure that it is disapproved. Thank you for your time and attention to this request. Sincerely, A.J. Davidson.
Of Davidson.
I don't know.
Anyway, can I respond to that, please, as a resident of Glens Falls, and I have 2 young kids and a wife. I purchased that building not with Congress money, by the way. My wife and I did it independently. We also did not get any state or city funding to rehab that building. We did it all independently, and so there was no withdrawal from any city funding to rehab what is the most historic building in the city. And as a young person, I'm 38 years old, as a business owner, I've continuously invested money in not only the South Glens Falls and obviously Albany area, but in Glens Falls. We have properties, multiple properties that my wife and I own and continue to rehab, and we are sending our kids into the school system. We are proud Bears. I actually got new shirts for my little kiddos. I have a 3 and a 18-month-old, and I appreciate the concern, but I would also argue that we are here to stay. We're here to invest. I'm very happy to be part of Warren County. My wife sits on the Glens Falls Foundation Board. She sits on the EDC board. She also sits on the Glens Falls Bid Board. We've invested a lot of money through our foundation, multiple Glens Falls resources. And I feel like as what I would like to call it more as a partnership, as a community member, this is one step in a very long step of us being involved as contributing community members. And although I appreciate the concerns and I understand them, that they're valid, I would say that let our actions continue to speak for our words, because we are here to stay and we're here to continue to be part of this wonderful community.
Thank you.
Of course.
I make one more comment.
Of
It's
course.
actually a technical comment, although I will note that the letter writer mentioned the county and South Glens Falls is also part of it. There is something that's mentioned in the zoning code saying that signs located within 10 feet of the driveway, exit, or entrance and within 10 feet of the sidewalk or other public right-of-way must conform to height restrictions, and those are 10 feet above grade. So in other words, I think If I remember correctly, that would mean taking your sign and moving it up just slightly.
Like a foot, I think.
Yeah,
Would that be?
I don't remember offhand how
Yep.
high it is.
It's 9 feet high.
Right. So
Yeah, so
it
it
would
would
only
be
just be moving it a
10
foot,
foot.
and that has to do with
Yep,
clear line of sight between a certain zone for traffic.
that makes sense.
That would be the only,
We'd be happy to do that.
yeah. No.
Thank you. All right.
No questions or comments?
Come up, please. Can you state your name, please, for the record?
My name is Mary Ellen Lawler. Is the sign downhill from your
Can you say your
driveway?
last name again? I didn't hear.
Lawler, Lawlor. Is your sign downhill from your driveway?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to mention that I used to walk by there very often, and what I found was that cars driving down the hill couldn't, and they would make the right turn, but they couldn't see very well. There was some arborvitaes there.
Yes.
And I went to the town, the city, I came in and I asked about that issue, because I used to cross that street, and I knew that people coming down the hill didn't see me. I had to watch out for them. And so now I'm thinking, if you add a sign,
It is not quite well by any means.
well,
and
if you
agree.
add a sign plus the trees, you have a double impediment to the people coming down the hill, making that right turn, which is permitted on red.
So just
that crosswalk.
to help.
Well, we can talk to them about it.
No. That's a really valid point. That's something that we certainly considered. As you can see, it is back quite a bit. So,
How about taking those arborvitaes down?
well, that's not our property. Yes.
Well,
I
but the
mean,
city told me that they couldn't do it because it was the property
it's
of that
Finch
building.
Prime actually.
Okay.
It's Finch Prime. And I mean, if we want to, we could talk about it. Like, I'd love to. We would love
Well,
to.
it is a concern.
That's a fair
Because
concern.
that right turn on red, definitely those cars do not see people crossing there, so.
Well, can I help validate your concern? Because I completely agree with you.
Well, it might be
It's
other
something-
people's concern too, so.
It's a lot of people's concern. To speak to that, it is, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry, what was her name? Marianne, you're absolutely right. And we, as someone who does quite much enjoy the walkability of Glens Falls, and I'm very proud of everything that we're doing to make it a city that has bikeability and walkability. And the first thing we did when we bought that building is we did actually remove the impending landscape structure that was on the sidewalk to make it more cohesive for people to walk. This is back a little bit, and it's back as far as I think we can do. We do have a great relationship with Finch Prime, and it's certainly something that's within our wheelhouse of continuing that conversation. And if there's an opportunity for us to work with them and partner, we're all about it, because I think it is the gateway to Glens Falls, and I think it's a very valid concern. And thank you for showcasing it. I think it's absolutely correct.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything they'd like to comment?
Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Colin, please. Sorry about that. Can you state your name, please, for the record?
My name is Abyssinia Leone, Glens Falls resident.
Abyssinia?
You can call me Abby.
Abby.
Abby's fine. I just haven't been able to see from back there what actually is listed as the destinations on the sign.
We can show you the.
I'd love.
So for everybody else, I can just read it off. The top says Common Roots Brewing Company. The next one down says Flagship Tap Room, then Common Roots Cafe, Beer Hall Private Event Center, and then Albany Outpost Tap Room with the mileage. Thanks, Lena.
Well, I hear his concerns about not wanting people to enter into the driveway of the tenants and intrude on their privacy, or to have the public back up into the street thinking they're going to get a cup of coffee when they won't. I'm very appreciative of your investment in the community, but I have to admit, I do share a little bit of concern from the person who wrote in regarding the 54-mile away Albany location. I wouldn't voice ardent opposition to the entire project, but I would ask that you consider perhaps leaving the bottom one off, just to help focus on a more localized region. Because again, to the person who wrote in, there is always concern about, wanting to be proud of the things that you've done, as you should be, but also not wanting to direct people an hour away when we've got stuff up here that's worth seeing.
Sure.
So,
And that's
my only comment.
understood, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Would anybody else like to comment on this application? I think we left off. You are?
I would add I'm sorry.
It's, you guys have done a great job of building. Anyone that sees this sign that's driving down there is leaving the city. Pretty much, we're not really directing them somewhere else. It's saying you guys are a draw to this area for our brewery tour, the whole thing. I hope people that are in Glens Falls go down there and do that because they're going to come back. I don't have an issue with it. I think it looks great. I understand that person's concern and I somewhat see it, but someone who's been to your place, again, it takes the whole area here to make us all grow, whether it's Lake George with the lake or the hotels up there, you guys with the breweries, and all the other facets of the community. I think it's an asset to us, and I don't think it's going to pull business out of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mr. Landry?
Basically, along those same lines, I think one of the biggest things this area's got to do is we got to start marketing the greater Glens Falls, Queensbury, South Glens Falls market. I had a recent conversation lately that we've got the feeder canal, that beautiful bike system that goes along the feeder canal, the map that shows that, because the BTARs in Saratoga County is all that.
Yeah.
And to me, as you package the area together and the assets and the highlights, it makes it a better draw. And, to me, again, I understand the letter that they wrote, but to me, you could get on the road and see a sign that says McDonald's 7 miles, and it could be right next to a restaurant that's there. I mean, I think it's, like I said, I don't see it. I understand it, but I don't see that to be a problem. And one other thing, only from personal experience, and it was years ago, anybody that would turn in there and try to get out, they're probably only going to do it once. Because it is between 7 and 9 in the morning and 3 and 4 in the afternoon,
You're only making running turns.
Yeah, so I don't think that'll be a problem, because it would be impossible. So, I mean, that just speaks to your case that I don't know why anybody would want to.
I appreciate
it. It would take you 2 hours to get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
No, but other than that, I think it looks good. I think that building, to me, you're just reestablishing the fact that downtown starts right there at the bottom of the hill. There's got to be a way, and I know it's down a big hill, and we talked about a sidewalk. I think you've got to find a way to extend downtown, down there, and make it so there is a sidewalk. And if there's not a sidewalk on the side of the hill, then there's an easy way to get over to the sidewalk to walk up the South Street. So to address that woman's concern that maybe that intersection needs some help. Because like I say, I use the bike trail all the time, and there's people walking across the bridge all the time.
Yep.
So, but other than that, like I say, I think it looks great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, sir.
I agree with all the two. I can understand the concern. But we do. We want downtown. We're spreading it out. Orange Street, we're trying to make it bigger, and you guys have been a good piece of that community. And I'm glad you brought the business to this side of the river. You're in Glens Falls. I think that's great. And I think perhaps maybe the letter didn't understand that is a business there too.
Hopefully our actions can show that.
Yep. So in my opinion, I think that we can grant that relief for the sign and move forward. Because of what you feel. I will make a motion. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Sign Review, hereby grant sign approval for the project identified as C&M Weber Holdings LLC, owners of tax map number 310.5-1-4, commonly known as 56 Glen Street, for their sign as discussed at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024.
With
contingencies
With the
the minimum
condition
height because
10
it's so
foot.
distant, right?
Yep.
that the height is
10
increased
foot.
from 9 feet to 10
You
feet.
can happily do
And
it.
could you, and if the actual mile.
Mileage
And increase the
We can
font
do
size of
increase
the
the
mileage.
Happily, yep, without problem.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Good luck. Well, we're halfway through the agenda. Next on the agenda is architectural review for Fitzgerald Brothers Beverages, owners of 14 and 22, or commonly known as 152 Dix Avenue, seeking planning board review and approval to construct 2 offices in a 234.5 square foot area. Hi.
Good evening, Tom Center with Hutchins Engineering. This project is a small 234 square foot addition to the existing building. It's in an area that can't be seen from any of the sides. It's an infill area. It's a trade-off from hard surface, which is currently paved in that area. So this will just get a roof over the top of it to expand their office use. It doesn't add any additional employees. It just moves existing personnel within the building into some new office space. The stormwater that we got approved previously covers all the stormwater management from this area. Architecturally, has the same siding as the existing building, same roofing. It's a very minor change in the whole building structure.
PJ, this doesn't require site plan review, just architectural review.
It's on change of scope.
Okay.
Like the previous warehouse probably should have years ago, but this isn't changing
Okay.
the intensity of use.
Thanks. Sorry, I just wanted
that's
to
okay.
clarify, make sure it was what review. I stole your phone.
It's okay.
Tom, is there anything else you want to present?
That is it?
Okay, does anybody in the audience like to comment on this application? Nobody? Okay. We'll start at the architectural consultant.
On this one, it shows 2 spots.
That's just for the building permit. The interior revisions are something different. That has nothing to do with the exterior. It's no addition to the exterior. There's no-
It's just the small.
Yeah, it's just a small area in the center that's new. That's correct.
Just
That's
between
correct.
the 2 buildings.
Yeah,
This one is just
inside the building, yeah, those are the building plans.
That's what-
Okay. Yeah.
I have no concerns whatsoever.
Thank you.
And no comment.
And no comment, pretty cut and dry, and it seems fine to me.
Thank you. Mr. Landry?
No, I have no concerns. I think this is just, you guys, Fitzgerald's done a great job for being an industrial distribution type of building. They've done a beautiful job. It looks great. Thank you. So I have no problem.
No issues whatsoever.
Me either.
No questions or comments?
Okay. Motion made.
With respect to seeker, I classified this as a type 2, no further action is required.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning View, acting as the Board of Architectural Review, thank you, hereby grant architectural plan approval for the project identified as Fitzgerald Brothers Beverages, Inc., owners of tax map numbers 303.14-1-14 and 22, commonly known as 152 Dix Avenue, as presented at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024. Do I have a second? Second?
Yes.
Aye?
Yes.
All set?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is site plan review for Paul Ortiz, presented for Patent Property Management LLC, owner of tax map number 302.20-27-5, commonly known as 274 Glen Street, seeking planning board review and approval of a retail wine and liquor store. Hi.
Hello.
Your name for the record, please?
Paul Ortiz.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to tell us a little about your project?
Well, I'm looking to start a small upscale wine and liquor store at 280 Glen Street. there isn't one liquor store in downtown Glens Falls yet, so I thought it would be a great idea.
There was one. Yeah, it closed.
It was,
That
I think that was just one.
Just wine.
But this
Or
is
maybe-
one.
Yeah, and I think that was like a decade ago or so.
Yeah.
There were fewer downtown
This
residents.
will just be retail, it won't be, people will be consuming outside, it will be a little.
Just retail. Yep,
This is where the cigar store, the cigar shop is.
yes. I have like mock-ups of the sign and what that would look at, like outside of it too, if you guys are curious.
Are you changing anything on the inside?
No, not other than just adding shelves and a refrigerator, cooler, and that kind of thing.
As far as the sign, that would relate to, yeah, okay, that would be for.
A separate thing, we can see what it looks
Well, we can see what it looks like, sure. Can you show us? What are your hours of operation gonna be?
So we're thinking 1 or 2 until 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. It's going to be, when we open, it's, it might change, but that's the idea of it. A little bit later in the day and a little bit later at night than a lot of the local liquor stores. You can be open until midnight, but I felt like that was too late.
Are you going to do delivery also, or no?
We did plan on that, yeah.
Just a question.
Do you have your approval yet from New York State Liquor Board?
So I can't get that until I get a certificate of occupancy. That's one of the things that they need. So my lawyer and I pretty much have everything in order besides that. So that's kind of why I'm here today. We need a change of use and then ultimately the certificate of occupancy. Because it's zoned for retail, but not for retail liquor.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this application? Come on up, please.
Another thing I'll add is, the idea of it is to kind of have a more upscale liquor store. I'm not going to have mini bottles there. There's not going to be really cheap options and really small options. It's going to be more all mid-tier alcohol and higher, more upscale stuff.
Great.
Just as a point of clarification, the sign is not under review here.
No.
It's replacing a pre-existing sign, so there is no discussion on what that sign is.
Thank you. Ma'am, would you state your name and tell us what your comment is, please?
Angie, St. Andrews.
Thank you. Did you want to say something? Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to see the sign.
Got it, okay.
And to show everybody.
Oh, okay.
And again, that's just for code, that's just it hasn't.
It's not under review tonight. Okay, we can start with architectural.
I have no concerns, and I think probably 10 years after the other liquor store closed downtown, with more people living downtown, I think it will have success.
No questions or comments?
Mr. Landry?
No questions. No questions, comments? It'd be a good addition to the city.
Thank you.
I agree with you, being in this edition. To see the storefronts empty, so I hope it, it's all for you. All right, I will make a motion.
With respect to seeker, it's a type 2, no further action is required.
Sorry. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review, hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Paul T. Ortiz, presented for Patent Property Management LLC, owner of tax map 302-20-27-5, commonly known as 274 Glen Street, for planning board approval of a retail wine and liquor store as presented at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024. Second? All in favor?
Yes. Right.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
The next thing that was on our agenda was on Washington Street Development LLC. That has been tabled at respect the request of the applicant. We will make a motion for the record, and that is, I would like to make a motion of the Glens Falls Planning Board. Table the application of 1 Washington Street Development LLC, owner of the rezoning of tax map numbers 302-20-16-9 and 302.20-16-3, commonly known as 13 East Notre Dame and 16 Harbor Street, is tabled at the request of the applicant per their email of August 30th, 2024, and heard at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024. Can I get a second, please?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? Yes, thank you. The next agenda is an encroachment permit for James Anagos for 31 Thornberry Drive. Good evening.
Good evening. James and Agnes, we're building a single-family residential home on 31 Thornberry Drive. We're requesting an encroachment permit for a driveway.
Okay. So we have it here. Is there anybody in the public who would like to speak to this application? Okay. All right, we start. Do you have anything to add to this one?
I do not, as long as DOT is fine with where you would locate your curb cut, I have no concerns.
Thank you. Mr. Landry?
I had this question when I looked at it the first time. It says there's a proposed 24 by 40 house. Your house is already there, correct?
No, it hasn't. We haven't started construction.
Okay, so it's a new house?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. And the driveway is the 12 foot at the street, 50 feet deep, 20 foot wide at the back?
Yes, correct. It's probably bigger than we're going to build it, but I'd rather get approval for bigger and make it smaller.
So you're going to have it big enough for 2 cars?
Yes, correct.
No, I have no objections or questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Bellman?
No, you actually have the survey, the markers are there, because that's one of our big things. Obviously, you're going to build a house here, so you have to know where all the pins are, where something to know what that is. Looks like you have plenty of distance from each side, so that you're not affecting anybody. I really don't have an issue with it.
Ms. Morgan?
No questions or comments?
I just believe the apron has to be cement, correct? That's just one thing for the city code. But that's the only concern that I would have. So, secret for that? No, okay. No secret. So I would like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board gives a favorable advisory opinion to the common council for an encroachment permit for James Anagos, owner of tax map number 309-19-6 and 8, commonly known as 31 Thornberry Drive, seeking approval of a curb cut for a new driveway apron as discussed at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that'll go before the common council next? Yeah. The next item on the agenda is subdivision. Matthew Webster, Evangelist and Steve's Land Surveyors, presenting for Terry Walton, owner of 579 and 575 Glen Street, seeking planning board review and approval of a lot line adjustment. Hi.
Hi, I'm Matt Webster with Van Dusen and Steve's Land Surveyors, here on behalf of our clients, Dr. Terry and Christine Walton. As you can see from the survey map, the current boundary line goes right through the building, which is used as his optometry practice. And so we're just seeking to fix that so that the boundary is split between the 2 existing buildings. No usage changes are proposed or anything like that. It's just correcting the boundary.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on on this application?
Phil Cancelleri, Building Codes. I just wanted to state on the record that we have had complaints about this property with storm runoff. It also appears that the property exceeds its 30% lot coverage. I don't believe granting an approval of this lot line adjustment would bring the properties into greater conformity, but we have received a few complaints, especially once this was noticed, of the lot coverage issues and the storm runoff issues with adjacent properties.
Would you like to speak with us?
Well, we can appreciate the gentleman's comments. In this case, again, there are no use changes. Permeability is long pre-existing. Any of the lot coverage requirements, both of these are, relatively historic buildings, and again, no physical changes are proposed here.
Phil, do you know the number of square feet per lot in that area?
And,
I just want to make sure we're not creating undersized lots.
Smaller one would be
R1A.
So it's 30% maximum lot coverage.
And then for
I mean, again, they're both pre-existing non-conforming as well. So.
I just don't know if we can move forward and approve something if it's still, you know what I mean, if it's something that's not conforming, we can approve it.
John, right?
There's a lot of lines on back there. And it goes right to the property line.
I mean, that again pre-existed the city's permeability requirements.
Right, but you're changing it, so you'd be creating a new lot, which is non-conforming.
Well, you're taking two pre-existing non-conforming and maintaining the
You
non-conformity.
can't expand a non-conforming, so by creating a new lot, you're expanding non-conforming. But I didn't look it up, Phil, I'm sorry. What is the square footage per lot required there, do you know?
the required for R1A is the minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet, and then width is 100 feet from R1A.
So by moving the line, you're creating an undersized lot, right?
We have
Because
existing.
Your dotted line here is your existing lot line, so you're taking away that much land, you're creating an undersized lot.
Yeah, it says the area of adjustment 1,600 square feet.
Right.
So it would have been fine even though it goes to the other building.
Right. Was it at one point owned by the same person? Is that?
Yes, they are still currently owned
Okay.
by the Waltons.
Would this be going to ZBA?
I think so.
Yes.
You need a zoning board of appeals approval for the undersized lot.
Even though it's pre-existing non-conforming.
No, it was
Before.
conforming before.
Well,
Before you took out that 1,600 square feet, both of your lots were conforming. It's 10,000 square feet there, right?
yeah, but with a 1,600 square foot adjustment, the lot on the corner would be non-conforming.
It would be non.
So we're moving the non-conformity.
Well, this says proposed area 10,000.
This was the original.
I'm missing something.
And they said that they gave this and changed it.
Right, proposed area 10,000. 975, so that one's fine.
So I don't understand what they're saying. It's hard to tell the difference.
So it's going to get small.
So just
Right.
because this lot is currently
So
undersized and this lot is currently
This one was
lot size.
non-conforming, now you're making it conforming, but now you're taking that one
And making it
and
non-conforming.
making it
It
non-conforming.
also appears that you're taking away some green space as well. If the lightly shaded areas are green space, and the dark shaded areas are.
Totally understanding that not to have a
Right.
lot go through the building, but we can't make something not.
Can I
Even though they're not.
sorry. Yeah.
Can you give us your name for the record, please?
don't know
No,
how-
you're good right back there.
Okay,
That's
well.
fine.
When I originally bought the building,
Can you tell me your name, please, first? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Your name, please.
I'm sorry, my name's Terry Walton.
Thank you.
When I originally bought the building, the part of the property line apparently went through a corner of my building. And so the previous two owners, one of them gave a little bit on my side and took a little bit from the other side. But the property line, basically all I'm doing is moving where it jutted into my building back to the original and then going right straight back to the basic thing. So I don't know, the original property lines really aren't, I'm not really making anything bigger or smaller. It's the same size it was prior to the two previous owners making these little juts to go around the edge of the building, apparently.
Right. No, I understand. You jump in if I'm wrong, but I think just by taking the action now, you would be making one lot undersized just by changing the property lines. So I think you're probably going to have to get zoning board of appeals approval.
Okay, but I don't understand why that is. If I'm moving it back to the original property line of mine and just moving this other one back, it's the same size it was before I ever bought it. I mean, the property line went straight back, and what happened is, because it went straight back, it caught the corner of the garage, apparently. So what happened is, instead of coming here, my building's here, the next one's here, they took a little of this and made a little jet that way. So basically, I'm taking this property line, moving it back to the original point,
right,
and going straight back, basically to where the other one is pretty close to them. I don't know. But whatever the property was prior to me building it is the same size that it was then, because I'm doing just shifting it back rather than because it doesn't go through.
You're taking some square footage out of one lot and adding it to another, and I believe it makes that other lot that you took it away from undersized for the zoning now.
When did you do the lot line adjustment years ago?
I don't know. This is an old.
It was done prior to Dr.
This is
Walton's
prior to me. It was prior to me owning the building. Can I just show you what I'm talking about? It's a little easier.
Glens Falls adopted it.
It's a little easier to see it if you look at it.
Yeah.
This is Glens. Here, this is the original property line here. They gave, whoever, not me, but whoever owns something.
And at the time,
They gave
still
this.
Right.
Yeah.
So the property line went right, just like that. So the only thing that's changed are these two
Back to the general.
So this is come back to where the original thing was. And there's that. Because.
So which one is that smaller?
It's a only a small area between the buildings. Just to be visual from it.
I know. And it does, it sounds simple, I just couldn't.
It does. It makes perfect sense. You can't
You can't do anything.
We can't approve it
Okay.
until I think we go to the zoning board and ask for a variance for that.
For an undersized lot.
And it does, makes perfect sense, and hopefully they'll see it that way, but we can't do it.
Okay.
It's just a variance of approximately 1,100 square feet.
And it's all pre-existing, I mean, it's not gonna make you tear down a building. It makes sense to move it, it truly does, but we can't do that.
Okay. I also thought this is what Rich reviewed the application for, and none of these concerns were brought up when we submitted. So I'd just like to state that we, it would have been preferable, of course, so as not to waste your time or our time coming here tonight.
Our apologies, Mr. Roman, it works for the city.
I would think though that the fact that as he's showing was the original property line, that's a valid argument and would make more sense.
Oh, absolutely. And we're fine going to the zoning board.
It's just not under our purview, we don't have the ability to
Understood.
approve or deny that at this point in time, we have to go to the zoning board.
All right. So can we table this and?
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
We'll hold on to all the materials, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board table the. Oh, wait, can I go through that here? Oh, we're tabling. We're tabling, so we'll get it next month. I'm sorry, that the Glens Falls Planning Board table the project, the subdivision project of Matthew Webster, Van Dusen and Steve's Land Surveyors, presented for Terry Walton, owners of the tax map commonly known as 579 and 575 Glen Street, seeking planning board approval of a lot line adjustment until they go before the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah, just as an FYI, meeting the November meeting because the deadline for
October. Okay. All right, so we'll table this till November 3rd. Will be second? Second. All right. Thank you. Next on the agenda is architectural review. Matthew Hummel, applicant representing owner Howard Leibowitz for property commonly known as 91 and 93 Warren Street, seeking planning board review and approval to finish new basement, walkout kitchen, access elevator with outdoor deck, first floor dining. Hello.
Good evening, I'm Matt Hummel.
Good evening.
How are you?
Thank you.
Good.
What would you like to tell us?
Well, I already approved the site plan for this project. Now we're just looking at the architectural review for the addition. So basically just adding on to the rear of the building for a stairwell, elevator, and a rear deck. The plan shows the siding, board and batten composite siding, and then a standing seam metal roof. And then the deck is going to be composite railings with composite trim board. Not sure.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add right now?
Not really. I just did have one. I guess it's a question regarding the color of the building. Currently, it's a yellow building with brick that needs to be repaired in the front. I just didn't. Does that need to go? If I wanted to change that, or bring it back to original brick, would that be presented here as well? Okay. Okay. I didn't know kind of where that stood, but
Is it possible to bring it back?
I mean, the brick is painted, which painted brick, from what I understand, is never a good idea. It just holds in moisture. And the bottom of the whole front of the building, where it is painted, not the whole building's painted, just the front, it seems to be deteriorating, so it will need to be repaired. So just moving forward, looking into this project, next year, whatever, and making the repairs necessary. I guess I'm trying to decide if everybody's open to bringing back to the original brick, or I do want to maintain the brick, but I don't know about the yellow, and it's just if I'm going to be faced with problems again in the near future, as far as repairing the brick.
So you'd be talking about like sandblasting?
Yeah.
And what you're going to find with the building that age, there's a high line content in cement, which is going to deteriorate unless it's done right.
Okay.
So I think you got to be careful.
Right.
Because, yeah.
Mr. Leibowitz came before the board for the original site plan and architectural review. They approved the yellow and green.
Green shutters.
Yeah, so I think it would require additional before the board.
Okay. I'm impartial either way. It really doesn't matter. I mean, the color's the color. It is what it is. I just didn't know. But it sounds like I would have to readdress this situation moving forward if I wanted to change it from the yellow.
Yeah.
But I can feel free to make the repairs and paint it yellow again. We're good to go. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
I think you just want to make sure you get somebody who knows what to do.
Yeah, no, I agree.
There's also, depending on whether it's everything from the outside or the inside.
Right.
Because there's a lot available now as far as coatings with epoxy mixes in them.
Right.
That would seal the outside, but if you got moisture behind it, it's a different issue.
I suspect it's from the water runoff from the roof and then just going, splashing the sidewalk and then maybe just hitting the brick and maybe coming out that way, because it's all on the bottom side of it. So I guess if there was anything to be done, maybe remove that course of brick, couple courses, and then do like granite or something, you know, like a.
Divert the water.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, I mean, gutters or something.
Right.
I'm not sure if there's gutters on there now.
They actually flash between the building and like the sidewalk.
Right,
They do construction, but they didn't do it with open space.
right,
So like you say, your bottom might be very long,
okay.
and do it flashing.
Could that be taken under consideration if I was to do something like here and now for that erosion problem? Or would that have to come back
We'd
again?
have to look at it.
Okay.
Right now, this is for the.
No, I understand. Just want to throw it out there to see
Yeah.
what the thoughts were. Okay.
All right.
I mean, I don't think any of us would object to bringing it back to brick, but yeah, just.
What's that?
I said, I don't think any of us would object to bringing the brick back, but just very cautiously.
Right, of course.
You would have to be careful, and it depends on what kind of coating is on there.
As far as the paint,
And
all
you
that.
could potentially remove the outer finished baked, you know,
On the
surface of the brick, and then
Right.
you expose
Right.
the biscuit, and then it absorbs water like a sponge. So but there are coatings that you could use, so
Right.
it's a little homework, but
Well, cross that bridge, I guess, huh? Okay.
we digress.
All right, fair enough.
All right, we'll start with our architectural consultant.
I think it's a lovely looking deck off the back. I was actually, so my question was, did you consider, I see you have gray siding, did you consider using siding that was yellow to match the front? And now I hear that you're not
Yeah.
crazy about the yellow on the front.
I just don't know. I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I mean, it does stand out. It's an outstanding building, which I think is great. It gives it character and everything, and that's nice. I don't know.
I mean, from an architectural point of view, I don't think the color gray versus yellow is a deal breaker. I
Right.
just was wondering if you considered that, that's all.
Okay.
I think it looks like a nice space out there.
Right.
Taking kind of a forgotten space and turning it into something. So.
Right, yeah, it's kind of hidden back there, and I'm excited about developing, just that lot, so I'm kind of excited about developing that.
You might want gutters along here if the roof is sloping down onto your,
Yeah, valid
onto
point.
your deck. Otherwise, I don't have any other comments.
Okay, thank you.
Would anyone from the public like to comment about this application? You want to start, Mr. Landry?
Two things. I've had two people specifically refer to that as that pretty yellow building down the street.
Okay.
I have a picture of both of them.
No, that's fine.
It looks great. It looks
Excellent.
great.
Everybody knows where it is.
And the whole thing you've done with this project, it's just amazing what you've done using every single square inch of that thing and having it look nice. It doesn't, every time I look at this and I look at the plans, and it's long-term now, you crammed a lot in there, but it doesn't look like it's crammed in there.
Right.
It's a very well thought out project.
Thank you.
So I think it's going to be a great addition.
Great. Excellent.
So I have no questions.
No issues.
So you're putting this composite board on the back, and you're putting that over the brick? It's an addition. Oh,
It's
got it,
an
got it, got it,
addition,
got it. Got it. Okay, never mind. No, I'm excited for that building to be put to good use. It's a beautiful,
It is.
it's one of my favorite buildings in the city, so.
It's beautiful.
I'm happy that it will be. I do too, but, if it's damaging the building, then I'd like it to be repaired. So that's it, no questions or comments.
Okay.
I really like it, and I didn't say it to you, but I am one of those people who love the building. So
Okay.
I think, you've done such a nice job here. I think it's going to be a real asset to the community. And I love it. And no concerns.
Excellent.
Any secret? No. Never. Okay. Go ahead and make a motion. Okay. I would like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Architectural Review, hereby grants architectural approval for the project identified as Matthew Hummel, applicant representing owner Howard and Leibowitz of tax map number 310.5-3-8, commonly known as 91 to 93 Warren Street, for planning board architectural review as approval as presented at the meeting of December 3rd, 2024. Any seconds?
Second.
All All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Next on the agenda is subdivision SD 24-0002, Arlington Street subdivision, Van Dusen and Steve's Land Surveyors presenting for Clean Enterprises for the property commonly known as 34 to 40 Arlington Street, seeking planning board review and approval. Those 3 lots residential subdivision for single family homes.
PJ, what zone is this in?
R&B.
R1B?
I believe so.
Hello again.
Hi, my name is Matt Webster with Van Dusen and Steve's Land Surveyors, here on behalf of our client, Clute Enterprises, Inc. What we're proposing here is a 3-lot subdivision with 3 fully conforming lots. The minimum square footage in this zone is 7,500 square feet, which is why we're proposing 2 lots of 7,500 square feet and 1 of 8,673 square feet. These lots would be accessed across Paper Street, Arlington. The city has not built that street. The change that I would like to note from the map that you have in front of you is that we would like to combine the driveways into one center strip. And we have been in talks with the head of the DPW to maintain that strip, thus giving the city and any others on that Paper Street the ability to still access their lots. And if the city ever wanted to build that street, they would still have that ability.
Can you just show me on the map? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Where are the 2 driveways today?
Yes, so rather than have these separate driveways, we'll have one common access drive coming right down the middle. And then the driveways will literally come off on the sides. And we'll have just a little stub here for plowing and turning.
Because Arlington Street doesn't go down. That's,
Well, it's a paper street,
Yeah.
and I thought we had talked to Mr. Clute a while back.
Yes.
And he needed to make an application before the common council
So we're not
to
seeking.
abandon the paper street.
So we're not seeking road abandonment. That would cause a lot of title issues when it comes to selling the properties. And again, the city would still have the option in the future to build the street if they wanted to. Of course, Arlington was never built because there was never anywhere to go
Right, but
from.
you're putting a driveway on the city-owned property.
Mhm. And that driveway can easily be turned into a road if the city in the future, it's still city-owned.
But I think it's a legal issue as to whether you can build a driveway on city-owned property without city permission. Like, I see your 3 lots are conforming, I get it.
That's why we're here, though.
Right.
This would be the permission.
No.
No, this board does not have jurisdiction to give you permission to build on city property. You're looking to put driveways
it's
on city property.
It's no different than an encroachment permit for a curb cut coming off an existing street.
Encroachment, yes, that's what I'm saying, or permanent easement. You either need to ask the common council for an encroachment permit, which I'm not sure that's actually legally sufficient. It sounds like you need a permanent easement to put a driveway onto the paper street. Would you agree?
Yes. So
And
this.
I think
Is that the
this
purview of
raised-
building and codes?
I'm sorry?
Is that the purview of building and codes?
Well,
Or is
he
that,
interprets our code, right. This board can grant you your subdivision, but we
Mhm.
can't do anything with your driveways.
okay.
And I think Mr. Clute was told that a few months back.
Yeah, April.
Yeah, so I was here for that meeting.
Right.
And we had that discussion, but road abandonment would cause all kinds of issues for him being able to sell the houses and others being able to access their houses. Of course, the city also has the option of building the street. We're trying to leave that option in place for the city while still achieving the subdivision. So if we need to go for an encroachment permit or whatever, we're fine with
I
that.
think an easement is more like it over the city-owned property.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you get that easement, then you would come back before the board for your subdivision.
All right, no problem.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we will wants to table this as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, got it. I would make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board table the project identified as subdivision SD 24-0002. I'm sorry, I'm new at this. Is there any public comment about that? I'm sorry.
Yes, that's fine.
You waited all this time and I tried to skip right over. Can you give us your name, please, sir?
My name's Del Mulder, and I'm here because I own 4 lots. Three on Arlington Street, adjacent to or Kloop lots, and 1 lot on Water Street that's adjacent to one of my lots on Arlington Street. I don't have any opposition to the subdivision. However, I don't want to get landlocked by Mr. Kloop's easements. And I have been trying to figure out where he's putting in this driveway, and I've been following up on this. I can't get any information about it. I mean, detailed information. So I can't tell whether he's going to create one of my lots or convert it to a landlocked lot.
Do you need to see the map?
What's your rule?
No.
Well, yeah, Marty Newell also.
Just as an FYI, these maps are available online, they're also available at the city clerk's office.
Yeah.
I mean, easy land.
So look, what he wants to do is he wants to take Baker Street, Arlington,
Yes.
and he wants to do a driveway here and here.
So,
I own this.
You own that.
And my street of this, and not going to have access to that.
Right. And you own over here too, right?
If you don't mind, I'll.
Sure, thank you.
So we can see where my lots are relative to this.
Oh, I have an extra bell.
it would land lovers unless the whole street went out because he's coming in this direction. This is all.
It's already defeated.
He doesn't, that was the point, he has to go to insurance. No, so this section.
There's no house. So,
The house is built.
letting everybody know here, so the house is built?
Yes.
Your house is built?
No, he's built a house.
Whose house is built?
It's on a different piece of property than what was presented tonight.
Okay.
It's just also off the same page.
So your concern is that we can be involved? Yeah.
You guys all get together and build a road. And then you build all those houses.
Yes.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a comment they'd like to make? Are you done, sir? Or do you
Yes,
wanna make-
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I just want to give anybody else an opportunity.
I'm good.
Thank you for the map, Tim. This is helpful. But we have noted your concerns for that.
Where do I go to find out what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, now it's gotta go, they have to go to the town council.
They're gonna have to get a permanent easement, it sounds like, from the city, correct? But then he'd have to come back here again. us.
Okay.
So we're probably your best bet.
Okay,
So
thank
it's
you.
tabled for now till at least next month, and it will be publicly noticed, so you'll be able to tell when it's coming back to us.
What date is that?
Well, it's always the first Tuesday of the month, but it probably won't be for next month at this point. It'll probably be November, but it will always be publicly noticed on the website, so you can see if it's.
Because I live in Florida, so I have to figure out what's what.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Melissa Wilkinson. I just have a question. So from 2009 to 2019, I lived in the property across the street that he's talking about developing. When I purchased that property in 2009, we were told that all of that land back there was protected land, that nobody could ever build back there. Now, Mr. Kloot built a road and a multitude of houses back there and destroyed all of the woods and all of the nature land that was back there. So my question is this land protected land? Is it anything that can be done to preserve that land rather than adding in, going through all of these hoops to try and put in another road and more homes?
It's privately owned land. If they want to build a house there, it's not protected land.
So it's not protected. So the city doesn't own any of that.
It looks like the city has one lot back there, and we have the paper street, Arlington Paper Street.
Okay. Just had the question. That's all.
I don't know that it was ever labeled as protected.
Like you're thinking like a forever wild.
Yeah, that's where I was confused, and some of my neighbors and previous neighbors were just here and had expressed that they also thought that was protected land. So I just didn't even know how would it be protected?
Where have been told that, do you
Yeah.
know?
When I purchased the home,
Yeah, but who, let someone told you that?
our agent.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Because he's gotten approval for a few developments down there.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know if this is part of the last phase or not.
Yeah, it looks like all of it's pretty much private land. You said you saw one that was the city owned?
It says City of Glens Falls, and it's on this map, right here. City of Glens Falls.
If you look on the Warren County parcel viewer, there's one that's on the list.
But all the rest are privately owned.
Okay.
Are you on this
Just wanted to
map?
know.
Are you on this map here? And that's a map that shows who owns the property.
No, we were over here. So, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak to this application?
The previous gentleman left his material on the diet.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, where were we? I'm sorry, I was going to make a motion. Motion to table it. Okay, back to where we were. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board table the project known as subdivision, Arlington Street subdivision, Van Dusen and Steve's Land Surveyors, presenting for Kloot Enterprises for the property commonly known as 3440 Arlington Street, as heard at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024. Second, thank you. All in favor? Yes. The next thing on our agenda is the site plan review for Greylock Self-Storage Facility. Property at 79 Broad Street, 83 and 85 Broad Street, seeking planning board review and approval to construct 5 self-storage buildings. Is there anybody here from Greylock? Should we table this? Okay.
For appearance of the applicant. Appearance of the applicant.
I'd like to make a motion of the Glens Falls Planning Board table for the appearance of the applicant, the project of site plan review for Greylock Self-Storage Facility, MCP, Glens Falls Properties, LLC. Owners are tax map number 309.27-6-2, 1 and 9, commonly known as 79 Broad and 83 and 85 Broad Street, at the meeting of September 3rd, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
I came to make a statement on that. Do you want me to wait till it comes back?
We're
Yes.
We're tabling that because there's no applicant here, so we wait to take public.
It impacts my own property behind it.
is here to present, and then we would take public comment, so there's the ability to hear it. So it's going to be tabled until next month. Okay, thank you. Okay, our last item on the agenda is a sketch plan review of 579 Sherman Avenue LLC. They are seeking sketch plan review to construct a multifamily residential development. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Your name, please.
My name is Chris Davidson. This is my business partner and father-in-law, Don Sweetser. Together with our spouses, Don Davidson and Tina Sweetser, we are the investors in 5 Sherman Avenue LLC. We're here today to seek approval of our proposed construction of a 32-unit building at 5 Sherman Ave to replace one destroyed by fire in 2014. Prior to that, I think it's important, and I'd like to tell you more about us. This project brings us back to January 2018, when we, as investors, purchased 579 Sherman Ave, an 18-unit assemblage, formerly known as Sherman Square. 79 had a prolonged history of substantial deferred maintenance. We completed restoring them in 2019, renaming the property Bemis Place. Now, Bemis Place is a nod to Dr. Bemis, who at one time owned 3 Sherman Ave, an eye surgeon's office, and 5 and 7 Sherman Ave, the boarding houses where his patients recuperated from surgery. 9 Sherman Ave was the carriage house on property. In July 2019, we purchased the Argent assemblage, and that's 17, 18, 21, and 21 and a half Sherman, and 135 Holman. As a business, we invested significantly to restore our properties. We added 6 new rental units through the building permitting process with a total of 41 units. Our next investment in December 2020 was 453 Glen in 7 Chester, a 20-unit assemblage. We again decided to restore the building inside and out, but did not add any additional units at that time. In September 2021, we invested in 425 Glen Street, formerly known as the Heritage Apartments. After significant restoration, we renamed the building District 425, which is simply a nod to its former use as a middle school and high school. At the district, we completed a project started by the previous owners and added 8 new loft apartments. We then improved the remaining 90 units over the past 3 years. We're in the final stages of adding 10 more units in the space once occupied by Fit 32 Gym, which was the original cafeteria of the old school. And by doing this, adding the last 10 units, our total is just shy of 200 units that we own in the city of Glens Falls. This current project will replace a building destroyed by fire going back to Bemis Place. This current project will replace a building destroyed by fire in 2014 with 32 additional rental units. We're seeking a variance of 1.96% for green space, 50% of which is required, and a variance for parking. 75 spaces are required and requested to be lowered to 55. It's been in our experience that at all of our properties, which tells us that 1 parking space per unit is more than enough. And at this time, I thank you for consideration. Open it up for questions.
Thank you. Nina, do you want to start?
Appreciate all the renovations and upgrades we've done to the existing buildings around Glens Falls. I also remember watching that apartment burn. Is this the proposed plan?
Yes, it is. To explain this, we're planning on putting in modular units,
Right.
pre-constructed, which will cut down on building time on site and also will provide a better product because we don't have to worry about weather issues.
I'm the architectural consultant.
Mhm.
I know this is sketch plan review. What I would typically speak to is how I feel the project fits in with the neighborhood and the fabric of the surrounding buildings. I can't really speak to that because I don't feel that the elevations give me a good sense of what you're proposing in terms of architecture. So I would have to say that in terms of site plan appropriateness, I can only look at lot coverage and things like that.
Yeah, to be clear, this is sketch plan review, not site plan review.
I'm sorry, sketch plan.
This is just the initial, that's why there's.
Yeah, right.
Well, to speak to your concerns, the front of the building will face Sherman Avenue. It's going to have a parking garage below, be a concrete foundation. The front facade of which we plan to use a brick veneer. The color scheme, to be honest, we're going back and forth. Dawn, my daughter, Chris's wife, is the designer, and with her eldest son off to prep school tomorrow, we're a little bit in a bind, so she's not going to be able to really get involved. But we're envisioning a 7-foot by 12-foot black garage door. We're going to have Jack and Jill balconies on the outside boxes, black railing. We're tending towards tan or cream color for the building and using vinyl siding, but we're going to run vertical, horizontal to break up the look. So what we're today looking for a little guidance is the best way for me to phrase it.
There's 18 apartments now in the other two buildings?
Correct.
Okay, and you're adding 32 new?
Yes.
And is it all one lot?
It is all one building lot, yes ma'am.
So one of the drawings you dropped off said required parking 1.5 spaces per apartment unit.
Mm-hmm.
But really, you have to remember that there's already 18 units there.
Correct, 18 and
plus
32.
more. That means there's 75 spaces are required.
Correct.
Okay. Because this drawing shows 45 spaces required.
Maybe I don't, maybe you don't have to go to.
That's what was provided. So you need 75 spaces.
We need 75 spaces. We can provide 55. And as I said, right now, 1 per unit has always been more than enough, and this would give us 5 extra.
So the 75 is for the whole complex?
Yes.
75 for the whole complex is what would be required.
50 units.
Right.
You need
We can
75.
provide 55.
Right.
So
You're saying you can provide 65?
55.
55.
50 is required. Yeah. We've had 50 tenants or 50 units. In our experience, I said, is on all of these properties, is 1 is more than enough.
The problem is the planning board has the ability to, do some variances with parking, but parking is a huge issue right now for downtown. There's just not enough parking, and there's no parking on the streets.
Well aware.
Okay.
Well
Is there any parking at the district?
We have 163 parking spots at the district. Based on our construction of 108 units total, we need 162 spots.
Okay.
We're going to lose 3 spots. We're working with the city on a Goodwin Avenue project,
Sidewalk, right.
and that we'll lose 3 spots for that. But again, I was down there Sunday at the district, and the parking lot was 2/3 full with all of our tenants there. Well, actually, it was yesterday. Monday, yeah. I was there Sunday too. I was there Monday too, also. So I don't see that there's a problem right now. There's a back parking lot that's off of Holman There's a barn back there now. By taking that barn down, we're gonna pick up 5 spots back there.
Is this here the garage? It's marked garage? Is that the right one?
No. Here's Sherman Avenue. This is the building.
Sherman.
Back here, if you look back, show the barn.
Okay.
That barn is, that's building, so that increases our parking.
It's right around parking, and then you.
We're gonna have parking in here with 2 handicap. This is and then we're gonna, the parking here, we did the parking lot last year. Then we'll have more parking in this area. It's all gonna be permeable blacktop. This is gonna be gravel. So as far as the parking goes, I can only base it on our experience. We also have 21 Sherman, which is part of the Argent complex. I've got, I think it's 64 there. It's never full.
And 453.
All of them. 453 and 7 Chester. That's 20 units and have plenty of space. So that's, I don't believe parking is an issue. Never has been.
These 32 apartments, are they going to be all one bedroom?
No. Because of the required staircase and elevator, each floor will have 8 units. 3 will be studios and 5 will be 1 bedrooms. And we are going before the zoning board. We're scheduled for the next meeting for a rear yard and a height.
That was my question, was the height.
Yeah, the height is 58 feet
58.
because of the elevator shaft.
And because you're putting parking partially under there.
Yes, be partially below grade
So you're looking for 8 feet of relief on the height.
because of the elevator shaft. And we're required to have the elevator
Sure.
because it's actually 5 stories. If you have to count the basement, the 5 stops.
You
But
could do
I'm
a
not-
hydraulic elevator.
Pardon me?
You could do a hydraulic elevator. It'll take, no, I'm
Well, I'm not really worried about that because it's going to be kind of, you're not going to notice because the church steeple's right behind it.
I don't know the answer to this, but I guess I had a question. There's a zoning, there's a requirement, a density requirement for multifamily dwelling units with a certain amount of lot area per dwelling unit.
Not aware.
So again, I was just sort of scanning through and just trying to like hit the things that you guys might run into as you're starting to develop this. It's a density requirement. Philip, maybe, I'll give you the information.
We're not taking public comment, but if you have something to put in just for.
2,500 square feet.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
2,500 square feet.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, it's 25, but I don't know how that relates to your project. Again, just sort of like trying to check the box. So you
2,500.
are working to move forward with your No.
Total site is 3728. So divide that by 25, 2,500, and we're going to come up short. So that's another zoning requirement we have to seek.
For the density issue. But remember, you can't just focus on the new building. You have to focus on the entire site. Okay?
Correct. So
Right.
if it's 2,500 per, and we're looking for 50,
You're gonna look at the whole site.
yeah. But that's a zoning board, is that what I'm
Yes.
hearing? Okay. So we'll have to update that application, I guess. With the zoning coordinator is no longer, he left his position when we were doing our application, so we didn't get that particular guidance, unfortunately.
That's all right. I don't have it.
So my question is because we we are, there, I actually have two questions. So, that area has very historic buildings, obviously you are aware, and I have concerns with putting a modern building in that area where you have, you know, you're right behind the senior center. You're just in an area with very historic buildings, and so, and again, because we don't have the full scope of what you're planning, it's hard for us, it's hard for me to get, say.
Well, basically, to be honest with you, it's a box, roughly 64 by 76.
That doesn't sound.
Yeah, but that doesn't help us. We need artists or architects renderings of what.
So when you come back.
We will
you
have,
have to have it all.
that's being prepared
Yeah.
to be, it's like I said, we're struggling. This is,
And vinyl siding doesn't really fit in.
well, 7 Sherman Avenue is vinyl sided and blue vinyl sided. But our plan was to take whatever color scheme we work up with this, finalize with this building, use that same color scheme on the other two structures. 7 Sherman was built in 1895. It's a beautiful building.
You guys did a great job.
We haven't done a lot on the outside, to be honest with you. We did it all on the inside and mechanicals. It's got a mansard roof. We looked at trying to come up with something like that. And it's just not practical, based on the way you have to construct it for load-bearing points. When you move in, you've got that load, the roof load, snow load, can't do it. It becomes cost prohibitive. We looked at putting a gable roof on it to match 9 Sherman. Height problem. We'd be 70 feet to get a gable roof. Doesn't work, that's the problem. So what we're trying to do is blend these all so when we're done, color-wise at least, they're the same. Neither of the other two buildings, 7 or 9, are on the historical registry. Ours in 17 Sherman is, and we maintained that and brought that one back.
Looks great.
So where we do have, like 425 Glen, the front part of that building, 1905, is in the historic register. The rest of it from 1921 and the 65 edition where we're working now aren't. So we recognize that and try to work within that parameter. Everything we have done has been through building permits where we've made changes and made additions. We've worked with the city on all of that. So we're looking to do something to add to the city's need in housing that will work with whatever you guys can give us some input on.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
Your second question is?
Yeah, so I would like to see more historically accurate architecture. And I do have, I mean, if there are issues with 32 units with the parking and then the land, the amount of, what am I trying to say?
Open green space?
Thank you. So I think it would be a good idea to reduce the amount of units that you have.
Not practical.
I don't, but why is it practical that we have to continue to get variances when you're not meeting?
That's up to you, but from
No,
a,
but this is what I'm saying is we are seeing where people aren't working within the code. They're not matching what we require within our city code. So my suggestion is to have a more historically architectural aspect and to reduce the amount of units
okay.
to fit the land that it's on.
To speak to the green space, we're only seeking a variance of 1.96%. I don't think that's significant.
Well, and that's for the zoning board. You're here for sketch plan to get the feedback, and I think.
But doesn't the planning board rule on green space?
You have to get a variance for your setbacks. And I imagine that's the green space you're talking about, right?
No, well, the total lot.
Well, there's a bunch of green space, parking.
Yeah.
So we would, but you have to get these variances first. But I think
We
we're just
understand
trying to
that.
give you some feedback, and I think, if I may, what Richard is saying is there's a beautiful building somewhere yours. You guys have done a beautiful job over there, and it's a big improvement. Just maybe take a look at the architecture around you when you are coming up with your architectural plans. And we just said the same thing to Stewart's. They came up with their plans and we sent them back and said, come up with something that looks like it fits in the neighborhood. You've got the senior center, you've got got Chapman, you've got beautiful buildings, and that's what I think you want to just think about as you develop these plans.
You know, one suggestion too is, as I come from the industry per se, as soon as you say the word modular, you're done. Okay, I would use pre-engineered, pre-manufactured, modular, because modular, if you go back far enough, it was
A double wide.
a double wide
Right,
trailer.
but that's not what
But
this
that's
is.
not what it is, but and we, in the construction field, understand,
You know
ease
that.
of build, quick to build, the whole deal, it's just not a friendly term.
Right, and the technology today, if you've gone to
And
these,
even though it is correct, it's just not a friendly.
if you've gone to these factories, which you probably have, I mean, it's not your file is over.
Even though it's not gonna affect how
It's-
the building looks on the outside,
Mhm.
once they're stacked up, which, you know, I totally understand, I agree with what you're saying, it's just not a friendly term.
The other thing-
Pre-engineered, a better phrase?
Yes, that's a great,
Pre-engineered, pre-manufactured.
One issue, I do like that you have parking underneath. I think that's great.
Yeah.
The issue is you just need a lot more parking than what you have available.
And
But
I
I
think,
do like the idea of you having this park, it's like almost like a little parking garage, right, with an elevator?
Mhm.
I think that's great.
Like, we're in the business of beautifying Glens
Right.
Falls, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think we've demonstrated we're trying to do that.
Absolutely.
and you guys have done a great job on your past projects.
And that's just a feedback, so you don't come here with something and then all of a sudden you're surprised by it doesn't really.
No,
we want more of it.
I'm just not sure how we can take a box and make it look like an 1895 structure. That's the problem.
Well, they've sewers, they put those things, those corbels on there, they changed the roof. They did a bunch of stuff to make their normal building that we didn't like in that neighborhood, made it fit the neighborhood, just with some slight architectural changes.
we're looking for a modification, not a complete overhaul.
All right. Right now, we're planning on a 2-foot parapet wall at the top.
Right.
And it's all light framing. It's going to be a flat roof, EDPM rubber. We could probably make, well, we're going 58, it doesn't matter. We could make that probably maybe a 5 or 6 foot wall and angle it in.
Right.
So it would have the visual effect of 7, which is the gable roof.
But until we see like some.
And we could probably put a fake slate on it, so that it would have, because that's slate up there.
Right.
Is that something that you think would help bring it more in
I
line?
think we need sort of a holistic image of what would be in that location, and you know, whether something adjacent to it is on the historic register or not. We're kind of trying to understand how something's going to impact the fabric of that neighborhood.
Mhm.
And I guess my concern is that as you guys move forward, if you have a vision in your mind and we're not sure what you are proposing, and then you move forward with sketch plan review, and then further along with a business plan that's predicated on the modular construction, and come back and it's not palatable because we've for the first time seen the design, then everyone's kind of stuck. Well, I mean, what I'm seeing are, and again, I don't know if this is what your real proposal is, but I'm seeing 1-bedroom apartments with no windows in the kitchen or living room.
That's correct. The windows are all in the bedrooms.
Right. And we're not at that level of review yet, but I guess what I'm saying is we want to make sure that we don't go too far down the line, you guys and we, with the concept that later we might not, feel is appropriate. That's all.
Because we don't know what we're looking
Yeah, we know
Because
we
we
need
don't
some
yet
more
see
detailed
what we're
renderings
looking at.
and an idea of what you're thinking, because we can't really tell anything about the exterior, the plans for architecture. And then you need all the site plans, that will be all the specific parking, the
Well,
lighting, the trees.
as far as site plan, it does indicate lighting is on this site plan, drainage is on this site plan.
Well, with regards to that garage, you're gonna get rid of, or that barn, you're gonna get rid of.
The
that
barn is gonna go.
We need to see it, as a whole, so we can sort of take a look at it. And that's why we're giving you this feedback.
Mhm.
Because like this is, we don't want you to come in and be surprised when you have everything drawn up and we say, that we need to be a little different.
Okay.
But it's a good start, you have two beautiful stuff.
And I think the board is saying, though, a 64 by 76 box is not going to be acceptable.
Right.
Okay, just to be clear.
And again, I think it's terminology where modular refers contemporary. Contemporary, and everything you guys have done has nothing to do with contemporary. So we need to see, we're calling it a box.
I'm telling you, it is a box. I'm not trying to deceive you. It's just, how do we make that meet your needs? And I think I've offered one suggestion. But I didn't get any feedback on that.
We have to
Well, no,
see
we
it.
have to see a
Yeah.
picture.
We can't just.
Yeah, we have our just renderings on what we're gonna look at. We can't go and see an imaginary thing. We need to get an architect or somebody to draw this up so where we can see what.
Well, that's part of the problem with engineered stuff. They have an architect who does everything. It's pre-inspected, it rolls on the site. The building department has already received the documentation.
So you're saying you don't know what the building looks like?
No, I know exactly what it looks like, and I can get I will have a revised rendering for you.
Yeah, that's what we.
To help
that
you
should happen.
visualize that.
That's
all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Any other suggestions, comments?
Yeah, we need to see pictures.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything else for the board? Okay, then I make a motion to adjourn the meeting as Senator. Pardon me? There's no public comments tonight. That was a sketch plan review only. When they submit their site plan review and architectural review, we will have public comments. But sketch plan is just when they come in and sort of ask for the board feedback. It's not publicly open for comment.